Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing most of the first round of Symmetra before changing to Baguette for the rest of the game. We are also on the console today, by the way. Consider yourself forewarned. You may also notice that we are starting this game in medias res, because we've already lost the first checkpoint right at the start of the video, so things are going great so far. We're just going to start the game. There's not much point worrying about the team comp too much when shit's already happening outside the door, basically. So, for the first part of this game, what we're basically going to do with Symmetra is we're going to sit up here and we're going to throw shit down at them. And I just want everybody to draw their attention to this over here. Oh, it looks like a pair of tits. That's the joke I'm building up to right there. So, this might seem like a really counterintuitive way to play Symmetra, but at time of speaking, Symmetra's right click is a lot stronger than her left click. So, as we know, high ground on Hollywood, really important to control. I mean, it's important in general, but like Hollywood's high ground is really good, so it's important to control it. Symmetra can get up here really quickly because of the teleporter. And because we're up here, Reinhardt's going to be focusing his attention down the street, so we're just up here throwing orbs down at his team, and he's going to be like, well, do I look up at and block Symmetra and feel like a fucking dumbass, or do I look at the rest of their team? And either way, he's getting shot. So, and we're controlling the high ground by being up here as well. So, this actually, like, makes sense to play Symmetra this way currently, just because of how much stronger her right click is than her left click. Because it charges really quick, the projectile goes really fast, and it does a lot of damage. So, just sitting back and spamming that tends to be better than actually going up there and trying to microwave people, because the microwave takes some time to build up, but the orb is just like 140 damage right there, right in your face. The best use for the beam is usually that you hit somebody with an orb and you try to use the beam to finish them off afterwards. The right click is just really strong. So, and our ult obviously doesn't care where we are when we use our ultimate, seeing as it goes fucking everywhere, you know. So, didn't necessarily, like, I don't think we needed to use this right here, because they're already backing up anyway. The intent might have been to make sure that Reinhardt can't Earth Shatter easily, seeing as our Reinhardt was dead. Also, Symmetra builds her ult up really fucking fast as well, because of how much damage she does, so that's also fine. So the scary thing with being up here is that if we get taken by surprise, then the person might kill us before we can kill them, if it's somebody like Genji or Doomfist. So we'd probably want to make sure that we keep a turret up there, like, behind us, so that it can alert us if anybody's coming up behind us. Genji's fucking surprised. Oh no, oh no. Got him. There we go. Right-click him in the back, he's mostly dead. Just run him down with the, Earth Shatter is such a fun ultimate. Yeah, didn't hit. Didn't hit, even though, you know, probably should have done. So, it's unfortunate we didn't have our ult for that, because that would have been a better place to use it. So, we don't want to be, like, this neck deep in the enemy team right now. Because 2 members of our team are already dead, and we are not going to just chew through the entire enemy team that quickly. Zenyatta is using Transcendence, so that's cool. Might have been baited in trying to kill the Tracer. Don't get baited by a Tracer. We should just, like, back out and reposition. We can either go out the back way from the room we were in, or can we use one of our teleporter to, like, reposition to the other alleyway really quickly. Either way, we don't want to be that neck deep in the enemy team. Symmetra presently is, like, she's, like, in between mid-range and close range right now, just because of, like, how good her right click is, basically. It's very counterintuitive compared to how she was. It's just, the right click is so strong. They're buffing the left click right now to they're increasing the range from 10 meters to 12 meters. That's not the problem. I mean, part of it is the range, because, like, it seems like it should be basically the same as Zarya's beam, but it's not. Like, aiming the two feels different. It's difficult to explain, because it looks like they should both feel exactly the same. They don't. So they're buffing the range from 10 meters to 12 meters. That's not the problem, though. The problem is just that the left click doesn't do as much as the right click, basically. The right click's just better. So, this checkpoint was already gone. We shouldn't have even poked our face out the door, because we just end up getting murdered as well. I think we stay on We stay on her a little bit longer than this. Like, we definitely use this ultimate, if nothing else. By the way, something I didn't notice until, like, watching this game earlier is that when your shield is deployed, I'm going to point it out when we use the shield again, rather than talking about it, like, in abstract terms. So again, we're going to sit up here and do basically the same thing we were doing before. And that's fine. Less likely to get surprised up here, because there's not many ways we can be approached, and if they go up the right side, we'll see them go that way, so we'll know they're coming. The use of, like, Symmetra's turrets hasn't really changed. You want it to be in an obnoxious line of sight, so that the enemy team has to go out of their way to shoot it, which typically means up and behind them, because if you hide it in, like, a shrub or something on the ground, like some Symmetra players like to do, the enemy team just goes, oh, breaks it. Whereas if you put it up on, like, the doorway behind them, they have to go, to break it. So it just, like, more work for them, basically. Like, so, you know, there, like, somewhere like here, just, like, high up and behind a corner. So they have to kind of go out of the way to break it. So here's the thing, though, right? When your ult's active, there's an indicator to tell you how much your health the shield has. I've never seen the shield break. Outside of being emped, I have never seen the shield break, because 5,000 health is a fucking lot of health. That's 5 Primal Rage Winstons. How often do you see a Primal Rage Winston die? Not that often, really, unless the Winston did something truly stupid. So it's just, like, I get that it, like, yeah, okay, it has to tell you how much health it has, obviously, but it's just, like, I've never seen one get broken through damage. Like, something really ludicrous would have to happen, like, it'd have to be, like, Diva's mech exploded, Roadhog's ulting, he's being damage boosted, like, the Bastion's there, like, a lot of things would have to happen to actually break the shield. I guess, like, how much damage does Roadhog's ult do when he's damage boosted? A fucking lot is the short answer. He might be enough if he was, like, nano boosted. But, like, you're gonna use Whole Hog and nano boost to break a Symmetra barrier? Probably not. So, right. Anyway, regardless. So here's some cool tech with the shield for you. So this is kind of difficult to describe, but if you can get the shield to basically cover this, like, cover a wall, and put, so if we get it to go like that, right, so that, and then it's intersecting, like, through this wall, you can put the turrets on, like, here, behind the barrier, but the barrier is so close to the wall that they can't actually break the shield. Like, they have to go through the shield to break the turrets, but it's so flush against the wall, they basically have to go up and melee the turret to break it. And that makes the turret basically unkillable if, like, you can just put the shield, like, right in front of a wall where you're going to put the turrets. Because then they have to basically, like, punch the turret to break it. The more important thing is that it's just, like, fucking up the enemy team than anything else, but, yeah, if you can get the shield, like, real flush against a wall, and then put some turrets behind it, then, the turrets are basically unbreakable, and the new turrets are scary. Like, they'll fucking murder you, dude. So we reposition back up here again. So the thing, like, the Symmetra, her ult is, like, the hardest thing to use about her, because the variance on how good it is so drastic. Like, it's either the best ultimate in the entire game or the worst ultimate in the entire game, depending on how it gets used. I'm going to compare it to a Dota hero, right, real quick. So, there's a hero in Dota 2 called Silencer, and his ultimate is that it silences the entire enemy team globally. Doesn't matter where they are on the map, they get silenced for X amount of seconds, quite a few. I think, like, somewhere between, like, 3 and 6. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that's what it does. His ultimate is either the best in the game or the worst in the game, because silencing the entire enemy team is really strong, as we can see with the Emp. The problem is that if you use it at a bad time, it does actually nothing. but if you use it at the perfect time, it's the most overpowered ultimate in the entire game, just like the Imp. The shield is the same way, where it can just completely block out the entire enemy team and protect yours, or it can do absolutely nothing, depending on how you place it. There's some really cool stuff you can do with it, like you can put it in front of your Pharah while she's using Barrage, and then Pharah can't die, basically. You can put it in front of the enemy team's Bastion, and he has to move, or he isn't going to be doing anything the entire time your shield is up. So, stuff like that. Her ult's real cool. The problem is just that picking the right time to use it and then placing it optimally can be difficult. And then if you place it badly, like everybody knows, everybody's looking at it like, that's fucking awful. But if you place it correctly, oh my god, nothing tilts me more than when Symmetra's wall is just there completely fucking up the entire team. So the reason I went back right here is we get shot, we've got Discord Orb on us right now, and then we come back around the corner while Discord Orb is still on us. This is a social faux pas because the Zenyatta is watching you. He is trying to kill you as you come around that corner with the Discord Orb. So don't do that. Wait for the Discord Orb to come back out, come off of you before you peek the corner again. I know 3 seconds is a long fucking time. But if you peek the corner while it's still on you, Zenyatta might just kill you. So don't do that. Especially if you're playing with someone like Widowmaker. That's how you end up real sad and real embarrassed. So now we're on the Baguette section of the game. We won't change back to Symmetra again for the rest of the game. So this is just what we're doing right now. So we missed our stun on Reinhardt, which is unfortunate. Whip-shotting him like this has ended up saving him, kind of. The intention might have been to like push him into that little side area right there, and it kind of just like misaligned, which would be fair enough, but if it was just like for the sake of hitting him, that kind of ended up like saving him a little bit. Still died regardless. Like, they're not going to win this team fight, as I'm sure you can tell by this point. Don't whip-shot D.Va like that either, because that will end up saving her probably, because she's still like half health when we try to do this, and we'll just push her like half the way down the hallway, so don't do that. Whip-shot's one of those abilities that can really easily end up saving the enemy team, so don't use it just for like the sake of it. I see a lot of Brigitte players like whip-shot D.Va as her mech is breaking, and then just baby D.Va's like 6 meters over there now, and it just like helps her get away. So we've seen they have a Tracer. Tracer's of course a person of interest to us. We just saw McCree shuffle off over that way, I think. So there's only one, like, was that McCree? Hold on, I just want to make sure that was McCree. That's McCree, I'm pretty sure. So if we're feeling particularly vindictive, like, we know which way he's going. Like, we don't see him re-emerge. He's going upstairs. We could go up the staircase next to our spawn and just try to gank him as soon as he gets up there. Because I can tell you what his plan is to go up there and use Deadeye. It might have been Tracer with the skin that has the cape on it, now that I think about it. Because I was basing it off of, like, it looked like he had a poncho on, but the Tracer skins that have capes kind of have a similar silhouette. This is kind of an issue with, like, games like this, is that, like, the most immediately identifiable thing about a character is their silhouette. And some skins kind of make the silhouette ambiguous and can make it harder to identify someone. For example, the Strike Commander Morrison skin for Soldier has a similar silhouette to Reaper because it gives Soldier the long coat, which Reaper also has. So that some of the skins can kind of make it ambiguous. McCree and Tracer died, so either way it didn't matter. Yeah, so, you know, game design, distinct silhouettes are very important for making your characters identifiable, and if you have skins in the game, that can kind of fuck that whole business up a little bit. Just, you know, if you were ever thinking about making, like, a $1 million hero shooter, you know, just bear that one in mind. So, anyway, not much has honestly happened. Like, these fights have been really easy. There hasn't been too much for us to do as Baguette that we weren't already doing. could have saved a couple people with whip shot by accident, so just, you know, try not to do that. Now we just want to push this lady away from the payload, because we're in overtime, so that's fair enough. And now we're going to go try to beat her to death. Oh no, things got real weird real quick. Payload's being contested. We didn't notice for a little while, because we were looking over at, like, everything that was happening over there, to be fair. But, you know, melee, you know, if you're a melee hero, start whipping around that payload, because you're the one that's going to kill the stalling heroes fastest. Especially if you're Brigitte, you got hard crowd control. They're nerfing that again in the near future. I'm covering up the ability icons. Let me just de-biggen myself a little bit. Never mind, let's like go up here, because I'm going to end up ludicrously small. We'll just cover this up. Her weapon's infinite ammo, who cares? There we go. They're going to nerf Shield Bash's cooldown again. It's going to be 7 seconds instead of 6 seconds. Oh, is it 8 seconds now instead of 7 seconds? They increased it by 1 second. In a token effort. It's the kind of nerf that makes me think that Blizzard are like, Brigitte is probably balanced, but people keep complaining about her, so we'll just put in like one more little tiny nerf and maybe that'll stop people complaining. It won't, because Brigitte, like, punishes people for doing dumb shit. People don't like that particularly. So I fucking love what happens right here. So we figure out, shit, there's a translocator here. Everybody, gather round. Oh, this Sombra's gonna get so pranked, bro. And then she only comes to it. Literally all 6 people are just sat staring at the translocator like, we're gonna get ya. And then she must have been like, what the fuck, guys? Anyway. So you might notice there isn't that much time left on this game. So do we get wrecked or do we wreck them? Because those are the only 2 real possibilities. The way this fight's going might give you a slight inclination on what happens. So Mercy here has actually fucked this Brigitte over. Don't do that if you're playing Mercy. Very common thing for Mercy players to do is go like, I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna try and res someone, because it's probably not gonna go off, but maybe it'll go off and something will happen. If it does go off in the hopeless situation like that, it just ends up being actively detrimental to your team. Because what happened to that Brigitte was, she got staggered because of Mercy's res, and we got to farm another 250 hit points worth of ult charge off of them. So don't do that if you're playing Mercy. Don't res somebody into a hopeless situation, because you will just end up like fucking them over more. So I just want to point out that we used Shield Bash to like close the distance on this person, and I'm still covering up an ability icon, aren't I? God damn it. Yeah, I am. God damn. Okay. Over here. No, that's... We'll go here. Okay. So many buttons. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when fucking Hammond's in the game? Oh my god. So, I do that all the time. I use the Shield Bash to, like, close the distance on somebody. Worth pointing out that with them increasing the duration steadily over, or the cooldown steadily over time, that's going to be less of a good idea. Because it's gonna, like, you're gonna end up using, like, an 8-second cooldown to close a very minimal distance on the enemy. So that'll end up being not super helpful. They're using it to close the distance on somebody is gonna end up putting you in positions where you don't have it when you need to stun somebody. So, be careful about doing that, considering that the cooldown is about to get nerfed again. Because, you know, sometimes it might be worth just, like, the extra time it's going to take you to get to the person, rather than, like, risking not having the cooldown when you need it. So, a lot of fucking shit's happening right now. Reinhardt's getting bullied. We don't want him to die, so the best thing we can do is, like, push the other Reinhardt away from him. If your Reinhardt's getting bullied and you're playing Brigitte, try to push away the heroes that can hit him through the barrier. Because if he's getting bullied by multiple people, but, like, there's a Winston there, the Winston's actually more important to get off of the Reinhardt than, like, the McCree might be. Because the Winston will hit him through the barrier. The McCree has to actually physically get through the barrier first. So, like, pushing away the Winston, the Reinhardt, if you're trying to save your Reinhardt, that'll end up being more helpful because he can hold the barrier up and, like, kite backwards from some heroes, but if they can go through the barrier, then obviously not the case. I just thought I'd point that out because, as you can see, there isn't going to be much more going on in this game because, yeah. It ended up being pretty easy, actually. So, like, it could go either way. I mean, not to spoil the surprise, the game could go either way still. Find Moira by herself, so we're just gonna bully her to death because she was by herself. If you get caught by yourself by Brigitte, you're gonna fucking die. Brigitte is, like, the greatest duelist in the game. There's basically no one she can't duel. There are people that are hard, like, she can kill Reaper, but you can fuck that up. She can kill May, but you can fuck that up. Like, she can fight everybody. You can fight a Reinhardt, no problem. Roadhog is surprisingly easy to solo as Brigitte. It might take a while, but you'll get him. McCree's the hardest one of the ones that you can duel, because obviously, like, Pharah, you can't duel at all. Of the ones you can duel, McCree is, like, probably the hardest one to kill, unless you can close the gap on him unexpectedly. Anyway, you can kill anybody as Brigitte. If there's a Brigitte on the enemy team, don't get caught by yourself by Brigitte, because you will die. So, I can't say anything, like, super obvious stood out from this game. We were overzealous in a couple situations, particularly as Symmetra. Used whip shot in a way that it could have ended up saving people a couple of times. Be careful about using Shield Bash to close distance, seeing as its cooldown's going to get nerfed again. Yeah, I can't think of anything, like, super obvious that stood out. And I mean, you're in Plat. I would expect by that point for a pretty baseline, like, high level of... what the fuck am I trying to say? A pretty consistent level of, like, good play by that point, because typically once you get to, like, Platinum, by that point you tend to have hammered out all of the really big issues you have, and it tends to be more about refining and really, like, learning how to play your heroes more than anything else. So this game was, like, really easy and pretty short, so I would recommend sending another game that's a little bit closer, because, it ended up being really easy. Typically, really close games that you lost tend to be the best ones to send in, but just, like, longer games tend to be better. I would recommend sending in another one, because this wasn't really the greatest game. We had some stuff to talk about, mostly because Symmetra was there, but, yeah. So, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.